happening right now. Trump's second term, we're in a war with Iran that we don't see is going to be happening, finishing anytime soon. It looks like they're going to lose, Republicans are going to lose the midterms. Gavin Newsom and all these people look like the shift is obviously happening.
Yeah.
What do you think, Tristan, where are we heading? Are the Tuckers and Candaces and all these people doing more harm than good? And where do you see this next three years going to where Trump is finishing his term?
You know, it's a very complicated situation, and it's something that I spend a lot of time, laying awake thinking about. It's very tricky, and it's not necessarily a Donald Trump issue. There is a situation where America itself, the political machinery of America, is so much bigger than one man or one president that I can't think of a single president in my lifetime who managed to keep all his promises and get every issue that he ran on in, etc. I am a Republican, and people say it might not be Vance, people say it might be Rubio. I personally hope it's Vance. I will be voting for him. That's my own personal conviction. But, I think with politics, everyone has their selfish reasons for wanting various things to happen. And that's why you can't keep everybody happy. I understand there are people who want war with Iran. I didn't want war with Iran. I understand that there are people who don't like J.D. Vance for whatever reasons they like him. J.D. Vance, to me, is the only American politician with any power who talks about all the shit affecting me. Them trying to lock you up in Europe for free speech violations. The fact that England arrests 12,000 people, a year for tweets. And England have put out a mystery arrest warrant on me. I don't even know what it's for. They're going to railroad me for my Twitter. The fact that I see our VP standing up there saying, this is bullshit, that election in Europe was rigged, this is fake, all, in the place where I grew up, Europe, like that makes me happy, even though he's not running for president of Europe. So I'm going to stick by my guns, personally. But, I can dissect every issue. And, you can ask me if I'm happy about this and happy about that. I'm not unhappy enough to be voting for Gavin Newsom. That's
do you think that they're, do you not, so I guess the question to elaborate on that one would be, do you not see the danger of the right fracturing and everyone losing out on what's best for the country because of where we're going right now?
Well, I said this, I think, on day one. It's happened everywhere. Everywhere the right seems to get a foothold, the fracturing begins almost immediately. And people like me can see something I'm unhappy with and kind of like bite my tongue and just think, well, fuck, it's better than Kamala Harris. Do you know what I mean?
That's how I see it.
So the exact same thing happened in the UK. This guy, Nigel Farage, comes along. He gets a few MPs in the door, first political party in ages to beat establishment parties. And within a few weeks, his guy, who's in there with him, and him start arguing, and they fractured. Now there's two right-wing parties. I'm like, well, you're not going to win then.
Yeah.
It happens in America. It happens there. I don't know if you want to be conspiratorial about it. Maybe it's insidious. Maybe it was done on purpose. Maybe there's people trying to fracture the right. But for the absolute maximum effort I have in my soul, will try to not do or say anything that fractures the voter base. I try to.
The left is very good at maintaining a unified.
No matter how crazy and evil that they. Listen. And me and Jake have these conversations all the time. They're all evil, meaning politicians, and we're seeing it. Like, what was that vote? I want you to say what you're going to say. 357 to 45 or something to hide all the money that goes to sexual assaults and payouts. And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
What? So they're all corrupt. They're all the same. But the left is blatantly out in the open. Republicans are just as crazy, but the Democrats don't even hide they're crazy. What were you going to ask?
You said that sometimes the machine is bigger than any one person. And in this case, it's the biggest person that the machine has ever gone up against, in my opinion. At least in my lifetime, I can't think of a president who's gone against a machine.
But one man's only a man. And it works the same way in Europe, trust me. These European politicians get in charge of their country and they think that they're in charge. And the European Union is this massive bureaucratic machine behind them. And their country ends up, with the exact policies the guys ran against, flooded with third world migrants that come across the Mediterranean. Everyone's like, well, why don't these politicians, actually stop what what the machine's trying to do? And the question is, do these people have the power to?
Yeah.
Because you don't know unless you're there. I'm not the prime minister of any European country. I wish I was for a day, because I think I'd come out of it after 24 hours and think, you know what, I have absolutely no power to do anything. And the American president has a lot more power to do a lot more, I think. I think there are things that, anyone in any administration simply won't be able to stop because, the weight of the tides, washing up on them are just too heavy, and they've been in motion for too many years, decades before these people even thought of running.
Sorry. It's why you should never revere any single politician as almost holy. Because your expectations are just too extreme. That's what happened with Trump. They're like, he's going to everything. Like, it was physically impossible for him to do every single thing he said.
Well, here's my thing, though. I mean, if you followed him from 2016 and you saw what he did and what they tried to do, like, and you said, it was perfectly said, Rob, like, this guy came in and ruined the whole system. Flipped it all upside down. We got to see what these, because nobody, I never followed, I didn't give a damn. My father used to watch Reagan and we used to watch Western. Okay, like he was an actor. Nobody cared. And then I heard something when I was younger about, Bill Clinton and Monica Lewinsky. I was still kind of young.
I remember that.
But then I was in the military during, 9/11, weapons of mass destruction, and then I was like, whoa, wait a minute, they lied? There's no, and it turned me bitter against what the government was. And then Trump came in and I got to see what the brainwashing of one side, but I lost friends. I was punched in the freaking head. It was such a visceral reaction to, wait a minute, this guy's not one of us. Party and party, he's gonna come here and flip it around. I'm not gonna deny his, what he did, the trajectory, the changes, the policies, the border, them trying to destroy him, shoot him, all that stuff. But it seems like this last year, and we're turning to something that we haven't seen, and I get it. Yeah. For instance, when the director of national intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, everybody's like, Iran doesn't have nukes. Guys, they're not 2 weeks, there's no way. And then all of a sudden, we bombed them, Operation, what was the Hammer?
Yeah, you're talking about
Midnight Hammer. I thought we blew up everything. And then they're like, oh, no. The people are uprising now. Okay, and I'm not going to lie to you, Tristan. I'm on board. I'm like, if the people are there and they're getting killed in the streets, let's go. If Christians in Nigeria are getting killed, let's go. And then all of a sudden they're like, no, wait a minute. We're not even, you forgot about the people, and it's about the oil, and it's about expanding. I'm like, I'm not a fan of it. Like, that's why I was going to ask you, how long do you think, if you had to guess, if you had to bet, somebody gave you $1 million, Tristan, how long do you think this war in Iran goes? More than a year? More than 2 years? More than 4 years?
Less than a year.
You think so?
I would vote less than a year. I think that I know people from all over the world, and there are influences on this. This is not an issue of America and Iran and Israel. The moment you start hitting infrastructure and closing infrastructure in the Middle East, that affects the UAE, a country I live in, that affects Saudi Arabia, that affects Oman. All of these countries being financially affected suddenly affect Russia, suddenly affect China. There are going to be voices in the ear of everybody. Trump, the Iranian regime, Netanyahu himself, from the world's most powerful nations, India, China, Russia. Everybody is interested in this stopping, for once. Usually they don't care. Nobody cares. I mean, no one's really in Putin's ear about Ukraine, because in the heart of hearts of it, it hasn't really affected anybody's money, their ability to make it. I mean, sure, they can launder some and make some more by sending it over to Ukraine themselves, but the whole world is putting pressure. The weight of the world is on these three parties' shoulders right now to come to a conclusion. And before anyone gets really pissed off, I think it's going to wind down.
Do you think that behind closed doors, all these world leaders do kind of have a conversation saying, like, even if they're enemies with each other, like, yo, you need to chill out here. This is escalating beyond what we anticipated.
I don't really know anymore. I've stopped trying to guess how politics functioned, and I've also made the decision to myself that I have a role to play, and my role to play is not trying to be a politician myself. What I'd like to do. If Andrew and I ramp up the podcasting again, right now we're taking a bit of a break from that. We're just trying to enjoy ourselves a little bit. If I ramp up the podcasting, what I'd like to do is I'd like to acknowledge the fact that young men are mad when they are lied to, right? We agree.
100%.
If you lie to a bunch of young men, then they're going to get mad if you don't keep your promises. So what I'd actually like to do, shoot me if you like, before the next election, is if Mine and Andrew's podcast is big enough, I'd like to have JD Vance on my podcast, and then I'd like to have Gavin Newsom on my podcast. And I'd like them both to tell young men all over the world, because the President of the United States affects everybody, what they're going to do and what they're not going to do. So at least there's some anchors to hold them to it. I mean, that's my role. I don't know anymore. Are they in a big group chat? Is it a big circle jerk? I don't know. And I don't care to know.